Why don't we make politicians take tests like lawyers, doctors, and a majority of other careers? The idea is that any adult citizen should have the right to become a politician. That if you follow the bureaucratic steps and have enough votes, anyone from any walk of life can be a politician. Thomas Jefferson wrote extensively about that. In his view, and the view of many of the founding fathers, the whole point of democracy is that politicians aren't special. Anyone should be able to leave his farm, serve his country for 2 years, and return to his farm. The whole country was founded on the concept that societies should be run by ordinary people, not elites subject to tests. Because tests would cause a bias. Who gets to decide what the test was? As an example, if you live in post-Civil War South, the test was literacy. Most former slaves couldn't read and it was illegal to teach them to read. So automatically almost any former slave failed said test. Technically this was for voting. But when your demographic cannot vote, is it really viable for you to become a politician? This is one example but can be extrapolated to essentially any situation and target any group. All it would take is a single bad faith operator to skew the test and suddenly that target demographic receives no representation. This is a frequent issue that faces democratic systems and there's no real way to defend against it. The test is the election. People are supposed to vote after educating themselves about the candidates. Isn't the election the test? Because we can't agree. I mean, we can all agree that lawyers should demonstrate a knowledge of the law, and doctors should demonstrate a knowledge of medicine. But what should politicians demonstrate? There's no good answer for that. So, we leave the job of deciding their fitness for the job to the voters. Because the people who would have to write that into law would have to take said tests. That's like asking corporations to self-regulate. Who makes the test? More importantly, who do we trust enough to not make a test to ensure only people like them qualify to be elected? It's easy to test lawyers. The laws are known and published, and a lawyer needs to know them. Test them on the laws. Doctors are a little harder, but it's still not hard. It's pretty well established what they need to know, and you can test them on that. But what do politicians need to know? What knowledge does a politician need to know to do their job well? And who decides that? Who creates and administers the test? Because they have no skills to test? Since you seem to be asking about the US particularly, in the case of elected officials at the federal level, it would be unconstitutional to impose such a test. So an amendment would needed to be passed and ratified by the states, which is awfully unlikely to happen. I imagine the state constitutions work the same way, where if a requirement for elected office isn't explicitly specified, it's not allowed. Because that's not how democracy works. Politics is just opinions. A lot of politicians have high education degrees from prestigious schools. They can probably ace any test on politics, law and civics you throw at them. It won't change how they vote, their beliefs, or how corrupt they are. For example, Ron DeSantis, RFL, has a law degree from Harvard and is often called Trump 2.0. This sounds like a great avenue for abuse to me. It's a popularity test called an election. We do. It's called the election. Well, politician shouldn't be a career ambition anyway if you view it as a public service. But even so, other than a code of ethics, what qualifications would apply? I could see needing to pass a constitutional proficiency They would not necessarily be representative of the people they're acting as proxy for. It would immediately be politicized by whoever is in power to try to eliminate as much of the opposition as possible. What do you want to test them on?
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Haircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.